So I've said this for a lot of speakers, but I really want you to do this for Richard Bustillo. Please put your hands together. Give a warm welcome for Mr. Richard Bustillo.
Thanks, man. I gotta turn on my mic. Well, actually, he touched on a lot of points of my presentation. Good morning, everybody. I just want to start by saying how humbled I truly am to be here to be able to talk to you guys. You know, I truly pride myself on working and getting better every day. And conferences like Autocon really give us that platform where we can really learn. And it's not just what the speakers and what the workshops are saying, but it's the ideas you get from the information they're giving you that I believe is really those golden nuggets that we take back to our stores to ultimately make more money. Before I get started in the meat and potatoes of what we do at Rick Case, I just want to give you a little bit of context so you can understand the world that I live in and how we've kind of started to work on that. And, you know, some of you may know Mr. Case, some of you may not, but he's pretty good at what he does. And he's pretty much an open book. In fact, he's written a book with our core culture, philosophy, and what he expects and how he does it. And our core philosophy is one, and it's very simple. Our core philosophy is to treat every customer as if they're our best friends. Now, that's something that's easy to say, but when you're looking at a store that has a car wash, a gas station, a barber shop, a restaurant, a clerk of courts where you can get married, and as JP eloquently put, my general sales manager, you can even get divorced. We have 1,000 reasons why customers come to visit us. But with those 1,000 reasons, there's also 1,000 challenges. And there's a lot of moving parts that we constantly work on to try to deliver that award-winning customer experience. And yes, every now and then, customers do even come in and buy cars. You know, we have a 6-story parking facility, and for those of you that have parking facilities, you know, the keys aren't always in the system. We have a tube system that doesn't always work. Our batteries, yes, sometimes are dead, even though we do re-PDIs. We still get scratches and dings. But the difference is everybody's working towards getting it right every single day. You know, we couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for our people. And we have some of the best in South Florida working together. And I can't stress the importance of lack of turnover, because when you spend hundreds of hours with what I consider my family, every single day working on getting better, what it costs when you lose one of those team members, you know, you just really can't put a dollar on it. I also want you to realize that when I came to Rick Case, you know, we weren't broken. You know, Mr. Case has always been pretty good at what he does. And in fact, we were the number one dealer in the Southeast since the day we opened. And we do hold the world record for 1,223 retail sold Hondas in 1 month. And let me just tell you, Mr. Case reminds me every month I don't hit that number, that's the number that he hit, and that's the number he expects to hit. But the reality is, our goal is always to be number one in everything we do. The problem with that is that you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, we can only do what we do. And when I came into Rick Case, I had to make a decision of whether I was just going to go ahead and run his plays the way he did it and try to be Mr. Case, which I don't think is possible because he's an amazing, extraordinary marketing mind, or I had to evolve and maybe put a spin on what we were doing to maybe take it to the next level. But like I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know. About 3 years ago, I went to a conference in Miami called ALR. And it was kind of like a really earth-shattering experience for me, because we went in thinking we knew what we were doing. We thought that we had the magic sauce that was going to sell us all the cars, make all the money, make everybody happy. Then I ran into this keynote speaker. Some of you guys may have heard of him. His name is Sean Wolfington. And he gave a presentation very similar to the one he gave yesterday. The difference was I only took 1 page of notes yesterday. I took about 21 pages the first time I heard it. But another friend of mine says, and this is one of my favorite quotes, and he says, the truth has a certain ring to it. And he said these 2 words that I just couldn't get out of my mind. He said these 2 words called the perfect prospect. And I know you guys have heard that, but doesn't that have a nice ring to it? The perfect prospect. The guy that's going to come in, buy a vehicle, give you a profit, be happy, give you award-winning CSI, refer your friends, the perfect prospect. And I couldn't get that out of my mind. So I went back to the store and I realized that in order to get that perfect prospect, I had to find the right market. And I had to identify who that was and how I was going to get them into the store to have that award-winning customer experience that we wanted them to have. So for us, we outlined a 29-mile radius that we identified as our perfect market. And in that 29-mile radius, there's 26 zip codes. So that was my battlefield of customers that I wanted to get because they had the highest statistical probability of coming into my store, buying a car or servicing a car, and giving me award-winning customer service. So I wanted to stack the deck in my favor. I just didn't want to walk out and try and do it. The interesting thing about it is, when you really get the data, in those 26 zip codes, 76% of our active customers live in them. 76%. Of my sales, 67% of them are sold in those 26 zip codes. It gets better, guys. You know, I don't know what your effective labor rate, mine's about 85%. And 85% of every dollar that we sell in service, we're keeping. 78% of our customers lived in those zip codes as well. Think about that. How important are these numbers? When you're looking at ROI, you're looking at profitability. Do you want to take a shot in the dark, or do you want to take a calculated approach to stacking the deck in your favor? Well, that's what we did. The issue is, in those 26 zip codes, there's 58,765 registered driving Honda owners waiting to come to Rick Case. The problem I have is right now, I only own 35% of that market. The good news is there's a whole lot of opportunity for us at Rick Case. And that's what we work on every day. But something you really need to realize, all zip codes are not the same. Makes sense, right? I mean, if you have a zip code that's close to your store, it's probably going to cost you a little less than a zip code that's a little further away. Makes sense, right? Well, here's how that breaks down. Here's a zip code that is within 5 miles of my dealership. And there's a lot of stats here, but I want to focus on a couple of things. One is, we've sold 273 cars, and we have about a 13% penetration in that zip code for sales. In service, we do a little bit of a better job at 66%. When you look at our total actives in that zip code, you're at 73.21%. So we do a pretty good job in that zip code. The important part is, if you look at the number to the right, that number signifies how much I need to spend to get the customer in to spend money at my store, whether it be sales, service, parts. And that number is $86.95. So I don't know what your per car is, but I would much rather spend $86 than $560. But you need both, would you agree? Because it's not just about owning your area. If you really want to grow your market share, you got to go into other areas and you have to conquest. And when I outlined that 29-mile radius, there was a lot of dealers in that metro market that kind of had the same plan. The difference is they didn't have the same strategy. Here's another example of a dealer that's of a zip code that's 9.5 miles away from our store. Now, the interesting part is, it doesn't cost me $86 to get that customer in. It cost me $406 to get the customer in. Well, there's a couple of real good reasons. One is, there's a Honda store right next to that dealership. But I still want that customer. So while I'm putting together my strategy, I'm building a marketing plan, building in the fact that I'm going to cost average my spend to not only get my core within a few miles of the dealership, but that I can also drive that customer that's a little bit further away. Now, that's all great once you have the intelligence, but the reality is you have to have the right message. Would you agree? Because ultimately, if you're not getting the customers to come in, you're really wasting your money. So I'm going to say a quote that, I call this a winism. This is a very dear friend of mine that so eloquently, spoke about my entire presentation before I came up. But he always says that a brand is the assurance of a promise kept. And I want you to think about that quote because it's a very profound quote. A customer wants to believe what they hear. So for Rick Case, our brand is that we treat our customers as they're our best friends. And we back it up by giving every customer a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. We give them 5 years roadside assistance in case they ever have any problems. We give them access to our discounted gas station, which is typically 20% cheaper than the gas stations in the local area. We give them free car washes for life, so when they fill up the tank, they're more than welcome to clean their cars. We give them rewards cards where they earn points, where they can get discounts in their service purchases of cars. We truly build a brand to give people a reason to drive those 9 miles to see us. So when I say a market area of 29 miles, we got the bullets to get them to drive to see us. You need to be consistent when you're trying to get a message. So whatever our program is, and we run different programs like I'm sure many of you do, whatever our program is, it's one strategy. And our strategy is the same whether it's mail, digital, social, mobile, traditional, POS when they come into the store, when they're walking around in the lot. If they go to the bathroom, the toilet paper says it. We want them, no matter where they are, what they're doing, to understand that what they heard, what they saw, what the salesperson's telling them, and what they see in the showroom is consistent and genuine. And that goes back to the winism. The brand is a promise of an assurance kept. When you do that, you start to increase ROI. And everything that we do at Rick Case is incredibly targeted and incredibly thought out. We don't treat our dealership as individual departments. And when I got there, we did. I mean, we had 5 very good departments. If you talk to the OEM, we had the best service department. You talk to the sales, the OEM on the sales side, and they were like, man, you guys are dominating your DMA, you're at over 100%, blah, 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 blah. The parts department was very happy with the parts purchases. But that was good for the manufacturer. That wasn't good for the customer. That wasn't good for the dealership. So we realized quickly that we needed to rearrange our philosophies so that everything worked together. It's very important that you guys understand that every customer now, today, is a digital customer. And I know we've talked to you've heard a lot of speakers talking about targeted digital and conventional and dropping your digital, raising your digital budget and dropping your traditional budget. At Rick Case, our marketing budget looks like this. We spend 75% on traditional and 25% on digital. Well, the reason we do that is that our digital is so targeted and so efficient that we can do it for a lot less. But we realize that you cannot sacrifice the traditional because that's what's going to get the eyeballs coming to look at what your digital strategy. And here's the proof. Of 91% of all the phone calls that come into Rick Case, and we track every single phone call, to the point that if you call in and you can't get to where you're going and the call drops, an operator's calling you back within a minute, apologizing and trying to get to where you are. So when I say it's 91% of all our phone calls comes from a digital source. Only 9% come from traditional media. Website traffic. You would think you put these URLs, www.rickcasehonda.com, on all our ads. You say it on the radio. You put it on our mail pieces. We put it on a newspaper. We put it everywhere. Still, even with all of that, 93% of the customers still go to search engines to find Rick Case Honda. Only 7% actually type in rickcasehonda.com. What that does is you have to realize that wherever you spend your money, wherever you spend it, whether it's TV, radio, print, it's going to drive the customer to a search. And the search is going to drive the customer to your website. And how you handle that traffic that comes to your website will eventually convert through email, phones, and walk-ins into them coming into the store and spending the money. And that's really what it's all about. Everything we do is to get them to call, submit a lead, or come in and buy a car, right? So here is an example of one of our programs. This month, we just launched employee pricing. And it's important that you understand that what I said earlier, the one strategy, it's everywhere. And here's a perfect example. No matter where you go, and yes, we still do newspaper, and yes, the reason we still do newspaper is because Mr. Case's name is still on the building, and he wants to do newspaper, so we do newspaper. I'm not going to say I agree with it or disagree, but I'm going to say that we do newspaper. Whether it's a newspaper, whether it's direct mail, whether it's radio, whether it's Pandora, whether it's TV, it's the same consistent message. Now, I want to go over another program that we do, and the reason behind it is we add multiple offers in everything we do. But before I do that, I want to kind of take you through the journey and show you an example of what a video would look like, what our commercials look like when we launch these programs, so you can understand how we start to brand it to really drive that traffic to the store.
This week, you pay the same low prices Rick Case employees pay on new Hondas. Save even more with 0% financing. Plus, get our exclusive 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Employee pricing to the public is back this week at Rick Case Honda, I-75 at Griffin.
So they're going to see that on TV. They're going to hear that on the radio. When you go social, it's going to be on our Facebook page. It'll be embedded in every video we send out. Our operators that answer the phones will ask if they're calling about our employee pricing service event. And it's a consistent message throughout. So no matter where you go, you're getting the offer of employee pricing. We always add service benefits, as you can see on the back. Point of sale material, so no matter where you go, it outlines the program. I want to say something I think is very important, and I think it's worked really well for us, and maybe it's something that might work for you, is we don't do gimmick events. I don't believe in gimmick events. Mr. Case doesn't believe in gimmick events. Gimmick events are contrary to our culture. We do programs with real value for our customers. And there's rules for the programs. We explain the programs. If we say we're giving away a car, we're giving away a car. It's not like some algorithm that you got to figure out of how you're going to win the car. If we say it's a sign and drive event, it's a sign and drive event. If we're giving away furniture, we're giving away furniture. If we're doing employee pricing, we've outlined in our employee handbook what our employees pay, and we offer that to our customers. Every month we do different events. And no matter what event we do, it's the same concept. Point of sale material, messaging is always the same. So remember when we talked about the brand is the promise of an assurance kept? When a customer hears something, they see it, they come in, and then they live it. There's genuine authenticity, there's an energy, and it converts. It converts big. Now, that's something that's easy to do, but not something that's easy to execute. And Grant Cardone said it great. He talked about execution at lunch yesterday, and he said, you know what? You just got to impose your will because your name's in the building. And it's a great concept, and you do need to demand the best from your people, but it's not just about that. And then other people talk about the importance of culture. And that's probably one of the most overused words that I've heard in a long time, culture. But the reality of it is, if you don't incent the behavior of your employees to create that culture, then you're going to go against the grain. I have 400 employees at Rick Case. So when we put a program together, we needed to make sure that it not only was good for the customer, it had to be good for the employees. Because if we did those two, we knew that it would be good for the dealership. We knew that your best interest was equal but not greater than our own. What I mean by that is, it's got to be good for you, but it's also got to be good for me. You know, and I always say this, and whether it's a customer, whether it's a partner, whether it's an employee, I don't like one-sided deals. I don't like it when I crush somebody. I don't feel right about it. I think it's wrong. At the same token, I don't like it when I feel like someone's stealing from me. So for me personally, my culture and my belief is that the best deals are the ones that are a win-win. And everything that we do in our dealership is about a win-win, and a real win-win. And you can be incredibly profitable with a win-win strategy. It doesn't have to be one-sided. Here's an example of how we align the efforts of our sales department. How we align the efforts of our sales department to make sure that the customer gets the vehicle exactly the way that they want. Now, earlier I talked about effective labor rates. Anybody here like accessory sales? I like accessory sales. Accessory sales give me guaranteed profit the minute they're put on the cars. And I like guaranteed profit. I also like my profit retention in service more than I like my profit retention in sales. Probably you guys feel the same way. So what we did that was a little bit different than everybody else is, we made sure that our salespeople are paid on accessories. So every accessory that's preloaded on the car, they're getting a piece of the action. So they're not working against us. They're not leaving that car to become a 300-day old age unit that I got to spiff to get rid of. They're incented to move the car, turn the inventory, and keep the process going. In addition, when they go into finance, I don't have people pushing people to the credit unions. I don't have people sabotaging my warranties. I don't have people trying to scare the customers, before they go into the finance department. Because my salespeople make the same commission on the front that they do on the back. So the reality of it is, they're working with the finance manager to deliver an award-winning customer experience and give the customer customize exactly what they want. The benefit of that is we sell more cars, we sell more accessories, warranties, maintenances, they go back into service. I mean, it's a beautiful process. When you look at our finance department, it's very much the same. The customer is going to get a customized, affordable payment that includes everything the way they want it and all the warranties and protections they may need. Well, that's going to help us because we're going to sell more prepaid maintenance and service contracts. What's that going to do? Well, that's going to drive our service retention because those customers are going to go into service. And when they go into service, good things happen there too. Because when they go into service, we don't have that disconnect. Does anybody here, has any GM in the room ever had a customer come in and complain to you because they came in with their first coupon for prepaid maintenance and the service advisor told them that that did not cover their maintenance, that he doesn't know why you sold that product to them, that it really wasn't worthwhile? Ever that happen? Happens all the time. It doesn't happen in our dealership, and I'm going to explain to you why. Our service department is trained and equipped with the tools to sell the same warranties that we do in the finance department. So it's going to be kind of difficult for the service manager to undermine a product that he pitches his customers also. Make sense? In addition, the service manager, the service advisor, gets a bird dog if they refer it to the sales department. Now, that's not world news. But in addition to that, any reconditioning that they had sold to the customer, any RO, whatever they sold on that RO, they're paid at their highest commissionable rate, and we do it on the car as part of our reconditioning. So I've eliminated all of the excuses that the service department had for not working with the finance department and the sales department. And the results are big. We get shorter trade cycles. Every 27 months, we sell a new car. We get more quality pre-owned cars. The great part about that is the certified program, we spend a whole lot of money in reconditioning. So we make a whole lot of parts and service revenue just from that simple concept. So what I'm trying to get you guys to see that we do is we don't look at just the sale. We look at how every customer can benefit every department throughout their entire experience at Rick Case. And I don't mean the first time they buy the car. I mean any time they have an experience at Rick Case. So it's about having the tools to identify the right market so you can have the highest statistical probability of getting that customer that's going to cost you the least amount of money to sell them a car, aligned with the right message that's consistent, that's real, that's the promise kept, that aligns with our culture, where everybody's working together to treat every customer as if they're your best friends. And when you do that, you know, I was really blown away by the first keynote, Mr. Jim O'Connor, when he spoke, and he said the true mark of a leader is not what he can accomplish, but what he can inspire his people to accomplish. And I am truly humbled to have 400 of the hardest working Honda employees in the Southeast, all aligned and incented to create an award-winning customer experience for our customers. And you know, you can say whatever works for you, but until you have the results, you really don't have anything to talk about. And for us, 5 years ago, we were 11th in the country. Today, year to date, we're 5th in the country. Still working towards that number one. We are the number one net profit dealer for 5 years in a row. And I tell that to Brian every time he tells me he sells more cars than I do. We have 3 years of double-digit net profit growth. Now, when you're talking volume, that's a big number. And we want to keep that going. You know, the accolade and the one I'm most proud of for my people's hard work is a President's Award, which is not a difficult thing to do, which is a very difficult thing to do if you're a Honda dealer. If there's any Honda dealers in the room, you know, you need to be aligned in every single department in order to have a chance at hitting this. And I'm very proud to say that we're the only volume dealer to have achieved that, and that is 100% a testament to the 400 employees we have working in our dealership right now, delivering an award-winning customer experience. And what that does when you do that consistently every year, 6 out of every 10 customers come back and buy cars from us again because they like the way they felt when they were there. It wasn't pushy. It was not gimmicky. It was a real, genuine experience. In addition to that, our trade cycles keep getting lower and lower every year. So we're converting our customers. We're turning them. And every time they come in and they trade in a car, I get another used car. To the point that I know Brian would love this one, and I'm sure he's going to see this on the video, 100% of my used car inventory comes from trade-ins. So I don't go to the auction to buy cars. For those of you that go to the auctions to buy cars, give me a call because I probably have some extra inventory I could probably sell you. Because we turn the cars and we have great quality cars, and when these customers come in and they service the cars from us and they buy the cars from us, we know what we're getting, we put good money on them, and the process continues. Consequently, our service retention, 63% of our customers that buy from us decide to service with us. You know, and everybody says that that's a good job. I really want it to be 100% of my customers. But unfortunately, you know, metro markets is very competitive, and you know, there's always opportunity. So I was at a conference earlier this year, and I saw this slide, and I said, man, I have to have this because this is really the way I feel. Wherever we're at right now is it doesn't matter, because the reality of it is we're just getting started. We're 1% done. And we're going to be working on getting better every day. And that's why I believe in conferences like Autocon, and I attend them, and I go into workshops, and I take notes, and I enjoy talking to everybody that is kind enough to share some time with me and go over what's working, what's not, and what seeds I can get that maybe I can evolve into something a little bit better. Thank you all very much for your time, and I have a few minutes for any questions that you guys might have.
Well, before we go into questions, how about a big hand for Richard Bustillo?